that you're dependent on money to access water, which is, water is life. So if they commercialize it and you're not rich, you're not generational wealth rich, you are in trouble.
So this is what I'm understanding. You need the money to drink water. You need the money to take a shower. You need the money to cook.
I think that's too big. You need money to drink water. That means, and most of us are living
Showering will be
luxury. So water will be...
call them secondary rights, right?
Yes. So water will be... I don't know how to put it, but water will be too expensive. You see, you remember when Safaricom was doing a campaign on Okwa, Kenya in Turkana?
Oh my God.
Do you think their priorities were on hygiene when it came to water? No. So that is exactly what we will be doing. And when the private companies come in without a very good framework, which we don't have in so many of our sectors, that is a whole risk to everyone. Because even the water you will be accessing, you don't know how it has been purified. You cannot provide or prove what is within the water. So that's also scary when it comes to our health, because our health as human beings, right? Because right now when water is a public good, the government is responsible. But then when it's not, then the power is taken away.
Yes.
I don't want to go to the precedents and the cases of people who have privatized water, the first world nations that have actually really suffered from it. Some are still. You saw when the Olympics happened in France, you saw the memes, you saw the jokes. Those weren't actual jokes, because I think our coping mechanism is memes and laughing. But you saw, and that is a country that has good infrastructure, and they are still struggling from the aftermath of water being privatized and then being turned into a private good again. So 10 years later, they're still struggling to actually make it a public good. What does that mean for us?
Relax, hold it there.
So for me, I will divide this into three. We have water being a right, and everyone has access to it. It means anyone can go anywhere, fetch it, and use it. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is when we commercialize it. It still remains a public good, but because someone has to collect a few coins to do the facilitation, the piping, and all that to make sure it's safe, then the government comes in. And now we're talking about a public good, right? Where everyone has access to it, yes, but the government is kind of a prefect to check, okay? And then they're also responsible to give, to supply it to various areas, and also to ensure that we can't assume that all citizens are always also good. We have someone who will set up a factory and channel it into, and because the government is there to ensure that such things don't happen, and like protect this water for the community. And then there is the last part, which is commercialization of this thing. I mean privatization. So the government, whenever they're doing the second thing of protecting it, they could commercialize it, right? Put a few meters here and there, have a price that makes sense to people. That is like, actually, you're commercializing this thing, but it's still within the public domain, right?
Yes.
So it's like roads. Everyone can use it, but we pay some tax to maintain it. Yes. So the same way with water. The government will say it still belongs to you, but you'll pay something kidogo to. So you have commercialized it, but you have not privatized it. Now we have the third point where we are talking about privatization. That is like, I'll take this river and give it to you. And
this is my river.
You could say this is my river.
So I can do anything that I want to do.
You can do it.
And you can't say anything about it.
Now that's privatization. So if I'm speaking to someone who is at the local grassroots, I'll tell them there is these three things. The first one that maybe happened years and years ago, where everyone had access and no one was, like if you want water, you go fetch it wherever you can get it. We know that that's not the case right now. Then that was also not the case, because by then, to we didn't have governments and we didn't have...
We did have governments.
I'm
Not
talking
as
of,
big.
I'm talking of way back.
Yes,
way
not
way
as
back.
big. We still
So we
had
had
Yes.
communities. Yeah, and
The
they had their own
They're
leaders.
the
and
ones
they-
led
yeah.
by headmen.
Exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Chiefs. Uh-huh.
And by then, they didn't even care about the rivers and all that.
Yeah.
Then we have the after colonialism, and then we have governments now, and governments are taking charge of public goods like rivers. I have a problem with the third slot of privatization. I really have. I feel like when we're talking about commercialization of water, that one we can talk, we can discuss.
Yeah,
We can
have
say
a
that no,
conversation.
that is too much. We need to reduce that price. Why will the government charge that? Right? So with that one we can negotiate. It's still within the public domain, so it's our thing. And we can negotiate the prices and say, okay, make something that makes sense. You don't need this all money to just have a pipe from here to there or even maintain that pipe. But the third point where now it is sold to you, there is where I say it's like a no-go zone. We shouldn't even get there. Surprisingly, we are already almost even past that point.
Yes.
And so it's a double-edged sword. As a planner, I would say that if we use the commercialization to the benefit of the community, then trust you me, it is the way to go, because a lot of people will have access to water. So if we are three of us and we can pay something for the fourth person to get that water, right? Like the normal meters that we had Kitambo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Avoid this kind of rules that make people not be able to access water. You know, currently, even if you're going to, I hear we shall go, if you're going to have a well, you have to report it to chief.
Yes.
Right?
True.
The same measurements or the same targets they have for people drilling boreholes, they want to bring it for even people just doing wells.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
talking about that because, and I can totally relate to it because the other day we were digging some boreholes at home, and we were told, so our home where the water is very salty, so we wanted to dig at another place where the water is a bit fresh, for drinking and just. So we were told for you to get access to that bore, for you to drill that borehole, you have to also drill for this other house that is there, so that all the other people waweza kupata this water. And so we ended up having two boreholes, one that we totally do not need and one that we need, because apparently this one that we totally do not need, chief anakaa huko, so lazima tumpatie maji pia.
So chief used that opportunity to get
yes, but then also you find there's nothing that me or any other farmer could have done, because they need the water for planting, they need the water for farming, they need the water for trying to run their it's called what, to run their chores every day.
Did you have to pay some fees, like very crazy amount of fees to pay?
Fortunately, we didn't have to, because we negotiated by drilling the borehole, and we told them, okay, fine, you can just have your borehole and allow us to drill our own borehole.
I feel that's more of corruption. But if
it
is if everything was to happen according to books, you'll be surprised at the amount of money that you have to pay in terms of fees, and that's why we are calling it privatization. Like that, where is that money going to? If I have to pay like 1 million shillings to get a permit to drill a borehole, I have no problem paying, for example, if I have the money. But where is it going to? If we had some committee within the community where that money is channeled back to the community, and then the community can use it to supply water within the residents, it will make because now I'm speaking here as a planner, and I'm saying it's not bad for you to charge me that fee, but is that fee meant for that community?
No.
It's not.
It's not meant for that community.
Exactly.
It's for
and where is
own
it
benefit.
going? For someone that it's more of that river belongs to someone else, and that money is going to that person.
Kinote.
For me, it's like from a point of pure disappointment of how we are operating as humans. and how selfish some individuals have become, and how money hungry we have become. So if someone is not making money from something, they have no need of protecting it. They have no need of maintaining it, despite the fact that it could benefit thousands of people. Because I'm imagining if today we made a collective decision of cleaning up Nairobi River, and we were able to restore it to what it was, what will that mean? How many people will benefit from that? Also, now that we've destroyed the river, because there are some people who tested the water and they said that the water had very heavy metals. What does it mean for the farmers who are planting that water? And you know, fun enough, these vegetables might actually be ending up on your plate. So what does it mean for you? You go for conferences within Nairobi, you eat from Nairobi hotels.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for your health? So in short, by a few individuals being very selfish, they risk the health, well-being of a multitude of people. You walk by the river, you walk within the community, and you see this water channeled. You see there are streams that come from that particular river and pass through communities. And you find very green spinach and yes. Nowadays, I personally cannot eat ndoma from Nairobi. Like if I could see them, I will wait until I go up country. And it's not up country around the city. I want
Ukondani.
Why should we have to live that way? Why should we have you even scared of your own mama mboga? Nowadays, kitambo, it was very okay for you to go and they'll prepare. But then nowadays, like, why is she getting the water? Where is this water coming from? Like the paranoia.
I think if you start thinking like that, you may not consume a lot of products.
And that's why I don't. Because then when you look at the numbers of H. pylori, they are crazy. Yes. Everyone is suffering from that, you see?
H. pylori, acidity issues, stomach issues.
So many. And I'm like, you see, by a few individuals keeping and not looking at public well-being, or others being very misinformed, because someone will say there are few people who went to case study South Africa on matters water privatization, but South Africa, if you go to the Soweto, that's why you get the true picture of privatization. But if you go to Durban, where it's like they are Karen, it's even bigger than Karen. They have a different story, because I get water every day and my water is really good. But if I go to Soweto and then they tell me that, the police actually come in the house to ensure
you don't have water,
you don't use water, they police how you use the water, then that also gives you, because what are you really benchmarking?
Allow me add some few things there. But before I do that, there is this funny example, which makes me really ask the question that is, do we even have governments for its citizens nowadays? Or do we have government just to do the PR? It's like government is there entities. Not for the...
It's like a tick box.
It's not even a tick box. It's like a business. It's like someone running a company and you just have several employees who are in different classes. And then you deal, you transact according. So we can give them
if we have government for the public, we had a very big investment, and that's what I was checking in my phone. Thwake Dam. It's going to be like one of the biggest dams in East Africa if it's completed. I did this. This was like one of my fourth year's project. We went there, asked the community questions and how that dam is going to change things there and all that. There was just a lot of bad things that came out, but I won't even get into that. Do you know Nairobi River is one of the rivers that will be channeling water with all that content of metal to that dam? And that dam it's going to be the biggest, like, it's going to be not the biggest, like the main supply of water to, there is that city that they're building. Is it Konza City or
Yes,
what?
it's Konza City.
Yes. So that's going to supply Konza City. It's going to supply, because Machakos is just close there. So, and look at that all population, because the dam is at the intersection of like 3 counties. So it's going to supply all the major urban areas within these cities, and of course,
It's environs.
It's environs. All that population, no one has just seen that the amount of metal contaminant that is going to that dam, and then it's going to be spread to this whole population. It's going to be a health hazard in the next near future if people start using that.
And this is information that is out there.
Let's add on to this.
It's very obvious that the river is...
Yes, can I add on to that?
You don't need to do a research to know that this river
just
is...
look at, you see Kamkunji, you see where we have our urban kitchen.
Yes.
You see the water they use?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And
then it ends up there.
Let's just to bring in another pitfall within privatization of water. Within Gikomba, you know, there are people who benefit by having us as a dump site of waste clothes, which is also hazardous to our rivers. Food for thought. And also an open loop for research, because Gikomba market sellers have been complaining for years. But why aren't we also looking at that? That's why when you walk within Gikomba, there's so much clothes you're stepping on. Yeah. It's like cushion. You
there's
even
no
think
soil, there's no land. You just step on clothes.
Why?
You gave an example of high-end communities in South Africa. Here we have Karen and the likes, and which brought me to one of the aspects of this conversation on efficiency and equity. When we get into privatization, they're looking at how efficient they are able to supply key customers.
Yes.
Again, water being a commodity. So if I'm a company that the government has sold me a river and I'm cleaning the river and supplying this river, I'll make sure my top customers get the best of my product. And that's why estates like Lavington and all that, they will be very good efficiency in terms of
water supply. Yeah.
But they're not focusing on equity, because equity now would mean that not only the rich get this water, but everyone. So do you think there is a time this company will come to Mathare slums and ask, okay, I know our people living in Lavington are getting, are you also getting? Do you think they'll get to that level?
No, I feel like our system benefits from things getting
classism.
worse.
Just they call it classism. Yeah. It's a class question.
And that is why, remember, there's a time we were implementing an activity in Kibra, and one of the people said the reason why Kibra will never develop is because somebody benefits from it.
Kibra remaining a slum.
From the campaigns being number one. Tutabadilisha hii nini,
you guys are just talking of very interesting topics. We did some study of the amount of money.
Pandora boxes.
Yeah, the amount of money that has been channeled to Kibera for sanitation facility since, I think it was, it was 2005 to now.
Yeah.
If you look at through all the agencies like government, NGOs and all that, if you take that money that has gone there, you could build everyone a toilet in this country. But why is it? It's crazy. Right?
You see, now this is where I am very keen when I'm speaking about topics, or when I learn or when I see an issue within the community, I like studying the history. Like, why?
Why is it?
Why is it this way? Why? And I also feel like the water inefficiency in the country. Because water was quite efficient a few years back. Yeah. It was just...
Yeah.
So what's happening to the water? Where is the water going?
I think apart from, and I know people will talk about climate change, apart from climate change and all that, whatever we are speaking about today is a major factor.
Yes.
It's a major factor.
And I need us to talk about what lessons can we learn from maybe other countries who have privatized water. What lessons can Kenya learn?
Firstly, privatization is not the way to go. Firstly, water is a public good. And from what he said about equity, the equitability within the community, that is really not going to work. Because if I come in as a private company, I am looking to make profit. So if I invest, because I live in an area where there are so many, we have Hydrax, a company called Hydrax,
Yes.
that has come in to build a borehole. And they're selling per cubic of water at 400 shillings. How many people can afford the 400 shillings? And why is water that expensive? Because this
and
person...
who gave them the permit? That's why I was saying the government kind of says this is underground water, it's yours now.
Yes.
Who gave them the
It's
permit?
Mavoko. It's Mavoko.
Yeah, and that's government.
Yeah. So when you look at it, I was like, so the people, let's say, because people currently are experiencing economic mishaps. So if you have a mishap, you will not have water. You see? So lessons we can learn from countries like Paris is they privatized their water and then they brought it back to the because it was to the public because it was not efficient, and that meant if you're poor you couldn't access water, and worst of all, it has become a debilitating situation because the river where the Olympics they tried cleaning it up, it couldn't be cleaned because it was completely dirty, and because everyone is channeling their dirt into that river, which could have become a tourist attraction, could also have been commercialized by the government to benefit the people. When we look at countries like South Africa, this is where when you look at things like where what is it called? Xenophobia. It comes in because when you go to their country, if you're able to travel to their country, you go to the good side. And then they are left to struggle, and they're like, this is our country. You see, such things also contribute because you go there, you go to Durban, you go to you go to the up and really up nice places, and then the actual locals, the actual people who should be benefiting from it are struggling. Huko mashinani, you see, there are so many first world countries that we have seen that are commercialized water, and then they have made it a public good again, because privatization is never the solution. Because if a private entity comes to a community, they're not looking for the good of the community, they are looking for the profit they are going to make. You see,
margins.
Yes, it's always profit, because if I have put 6 million, I need my 6 million back, and I need it in profit. So I really don't care if...
And to some extent, I always feel like you can't blame them, because the public is not their mandate. You are the government. The public is your mandate.
So when you look at countries like Mexico, where people are dying of diabetes, very young kids are dying because Coca-Cola set up a water, and now they're channeling all the water to their company, and the locals have no water. But then they have subsidized the price of Coca-Cola. Do you see? I don't know. Like, I'm like, is it us who... Maybe we are the problem, because you don't see this. Like, there's precedent for you to go through. There's precedent for you to read. Because I have researched, and I haven't seen one privatized water system that is working. So how will yours be different?
And you can tell me that Kenya doesn't have scholars or advisors that
they do. Amazing scholars.
Yes.
So why are we picking to go down that road?
Talking of Kenya, I think if you are a firstborn in a family, you shouldn't mess up, because the rest of the family will try and emulate what you're doing.
Yes.
And if you're doing a wrong thing, then you've messed up the entire
lineage.
There was, please don't quote me anywhere, but it is very true that some countries within Africa really look forward to our policies.
Yes.
And at times they even
copy word for word.
And so for me, that is the first problem when I'm talking about global south. Countries that are in a position to offer leadership, like I believe Kenya, we are in a position to offer leadership to some of the countries in Africa. We shouldn't mess up.
We don't have the
yes,
option
and
of messing up.
we don't even have that privilege of messing up, because when we do that, a country somewhere will feel like that is the way to go, and they will follow us, and it's wrong.
I feel like we just have too many policies because it's necessary to have a policy that we do not follow.
And it's
And
not
duplication
bad.
of
For me, I
policies.
think they need to be the right policies for the people. And when we are talking about privatization, I don't know what has got into people's mind that is the only solution. And I don't want to be an activist or an advocate that is always just seeing the negatives and the negatives. I would also want to provide solutions.
Yeah.
And for me, I think we need to open up our mind and realize that privatization is not the only solution. I think people run there so fast because there is some kickbacks, and quick fix where you can go get something for your pocket and also solve something within a very short period of time. And pipes are there and all that, because after 5 years you're not there. So people will say, ulali tuletea maji, but in the long run, you have created a very big problem. And we have had people like community-led initiatives to manage water in other countries that we can learn from. And they have worked. We have had policy recommendations that could work. We have had regional collaboration, like things like rivers, you can't, especially when they are going from one border to another or from one country to another. We could decide that two countries could come together, and we don't need a country from Europe to come and maintain it for us. We can have like local arrangement and say Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, why don't we bring resources and maintain our lake, right? You don't have to sell it to someone else to do it. We can do it locally, but why is it that we only think that this is the only solution?
Can I interject you, kidogo?
And as we interject, we need to wrap it up.
Yes, so just to interject with what you said, it's the same thought that I have when it comes to borrowing, public borrowing.
Oh my
because
goodness.
we have so many rich and wealthy. I'm like, why don't you borrow us? Because it will be easier to pay you back, because you will actually accept us to pay you back without so much.
Why are you going outside?
Why are we going? Why do we have to borrow from countries? I'm like, we have people like Dangote within Africa. We have very wealthy families. Why don't you invest?
Or why do you have a cap on internal borrowing? That it reaches a point where locals cannot buy bonds because zimeisha, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yet you could just say, we are not going outside. If you have 100K, come
Bring
buy.
We want to use our money.
I think this is one of those conversations that we can
That never
talk
ends.
for. But allow me give these 3 call to action. I think I had
Which
them
is going
and
to
I
be a
said,
parting shot, right?
Okay, yeah, sure. We can't finish this without me saying this.
Yes,
once.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call to action. Yes.
Should I
yes,
go on?
yes,
Okay.
yes, go on.
So I think the first thing is we need to empower locals. At times I think if it is us who are advocating for communities, the community itself is vulnerable. Because I have my own needs, and this is what has been happening. And so currently today you're very passionate about this topic, but I realize that, hey, Anna Kiatu, when I buy her shoes, she forgets the community. And I think it has happened.
Yeah, it has happened.
It's one of the reasons why this agenda is succeeding. Because when you're going to, if you look at privatization, you're going to deal with the key people within the society. But these key people, they have needs.
Yeah.
You meet those needs, you have your way.
Yeah.
But if we encourage empower the community to talk for themselves, in that, okay, you can bribe me, but you're not going to bribe the entire community.
Yeah.
That will be a game changer. So empowering local voices, it's very important. And then also challenging corporate interest. Some of these companies, if you challenge them publicly in a way that it's going to interfere with their profit, they will listen.
Yeah.
Like the story of Coca-Cola in that village, things have changed.
Yes.
I don't know if you have followed the story of late. Coke had to do some realignment so that things...
PR.
They have to do some... because... But if we just keep quiet, they will continue exploiting the communities. So if we can entrepreneurship is good, but again, we need to remind them that you can still be good person as much as you are a good entrepreneur. Come up with solutions that are helping the community, not just increasing your profit margins. And lastly, I think we as a country, or we as Global South, we as a continent, we need to have a vision. Because currently we are doing all this shit around water as if we don't, sorry.
Yeah.
As if, now I'm getting emotional. We are doing all these bad things as if our population won't require water in 5 years, or in 50 years to come, or in 20 years to come. If you give a company from Europe your water systems to take care of, and water is life, it's like putting your own life into someone's hand.
Yeah, true.
As much as they would say they're careful, I would want to trust my own life with myself. Like, why don't we just have a vision that this is what we want as a country? The way we have always had with roads, we're saying now we want to. I think one thing that we have done so well is with distribution of power. Yeah, you remember rural electrification.
Yes.
And I think it was Kibaki's vision that we need to light the country. Why don't we also have such visions for water? And say we want to do it locally, we want to ensure that everyone has access to water, and we maintain our... So the vision needs to be there. If we don't have it, then we will leave it for some people.
Okay. Thank you. Can you take parting shots?
My parting shot is we as African, and especially the African youths, because we are the ones who are going to be here. We are the next generation, or we are already that
generation.
We need to stand up, because I feel like sometimes we are on our knees too long. Like, stand up, have a voice, do your research, read, vocalize it. I understand it's quite difficult, but if we all spoke in the same language, our voices will be heard, for sure. Also, I'll want us to challenge and look at ourselves, as we call ourselves the Global South, which I don't think we are, because if we were as poor as we are called, then I think it would be very easy for them to get their hands off our countries. But so then when you ask someone to leave our poor countries alone, they won't leave the very poor countries alone. Then you ask yourself, then how poor am I if these very rich people won't leave me alone? Because you're very rich. Leave me. Like, leave.
I'm a poor person.
Leave. I'm a poor person. Let me be. They will not leave. So that should trigger your thinking systems as a youth, and think some of these things that are being brought back to community, do we really need them? Are they really necessary? What does it mean in the long run? You see? Yes, that is how I'd want us to look at this issue around privatization. What will it mean in 50 years? What will it mean for your children when they come up? We shouldn't look at it in a very narrow stream that I will have water now. What will it mean in 50 years, you know? That is how we should look at it. So my parting shot is, if you're as poor as you think you are as a country or as a continent, why won't the very rich leave you alone?
Okay. And that is food for thought. I hope you can think about that and give us your suggestions and your comments at the comment section right here. And thank you very much, Kinoti and Edwin, for gracing our podcast today. And thank you for watching and staying tuned to the Wanawake Nyanjani podcast. I have been your host, Wanjiru Kenywa. Till next time, bye.